So it's going to be an eye opener to these Manziel mania people that want to get him thrown in there right now. The only thing you're going to get him thrown into is a very short career in the NFL if you're that adamant about putting him in now, because his time is not now. Give the kid maybe at least 3/4 of the season to learn, and hopefully Hoyer's going to learn a little bit from what happened to him last year. J-Rock, that's another learning experience. You got to protect the quarterback. You got to make sure, if you are the starting quarterback, that you're able to complete the next play. You can't go down because you were stupid or you thought, okay, I got to run for this because the guy dropped the pass on the play before and we should have had a first down. You gotta play smart like a Peyton Manning and a Tom Brady. You don't see those two guys taking the chances that some of these guys like a Manziel or even a Brian Hoyer took. Those guys protect their bodies, and that's why the longevity in the NFL has been what it has for Peyton Manning. I mean, he had some neck injuries. There was a time nobody thought he would ever play professional football again. He defied all the odds, and Manning, first of all, protects his body so he can take the next snap. And that's what the Cleveland Browns need to do. That's what the Cleveland Browns need to institute, is a guy that can take the next snap, man, because it does you absolutely no good to have a starting quarterback that can go out there and win games if he can't take the next snap, J-Rock.
LG, my man, you're preaching to the choir as far as most of this goes. I'm with it. I'm leading the charge, telling people to just look for themselves and see. And look, at the end of the day, I got to keep stressing. I want Johnny Manziel to be good. Like, I want him to end up in exactly the same place as what everybody else wants him to end up. I just know how it's going to happen and how long it's going to take to get there. I mean, it doesn't matter if Brian Hoyer was here or not. If he wasn't here right now, I'd be telling you the same thing. But if he's smart and he studies and he puts in the work, he'll get there. And if he doesn't, 2 years from now, he'll be the answer to the trivia question, who was Johnny Football? That's it. And then we just got to wait and let it play out. LG, I've got to hit the break. What a phone call. I love it. Always fun talking to you, my man.
All right, J-Rock Daddy, you be good. We're going to see what happens the rest of today with the Cleveland Indians. We're only hours away. What do we got, about 2-3 hours? How much
2
time
hours.
we got left?
2 hours, brother. 2 hours.
2 hours away before somebody else is sent packing from that tribe. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of moves they make.
It's as you know what? I've heard as Drupal in 3 or 4 different conversations, and while we've been talking, I know I saw Bruce sending me some notes in the chat room, but I'm getting some similar stuff while you've been talking. I've been getting some messages. Remember, I said there were a lot of teams. I mentioned Alex Rios earlier this week. He is getting a lot of play when it comes to the Indians in these discussions. And remember, I mentioned Roberto Perez. Texas is looking for a catcher, man. I'm just saying, I could see something, but I see, several teams. There's a possible 3-team deal maybe out here. Alex Rios in discussion to come to the Indians. I can't lie. If they're going to trade for somebody, I would so much rather they bring in a pitcher than a hitter. But at the same time, the cost for a hitter, much less than the cost for a pitcher, and perhaps that plays a part in it too. But I expect Asdrubal to be gone in the next 2 hours. Talks are heating up when it comes to him. So we'll talk more about that. LG, I've got to go. Thank you so much for the call. We'll catch up whenever you want to come back.
No problem, J-Rod Daddy. You take care. I'll talk to you soon, man.
My man, LG from Cleveland Sports 360. Always a good time. I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap the show up. I got a couple of things to say. We'll check on the latest with the trade deadline. The OSU band leader speaks out about his release. We'll update you on the latest with the tribe. So much more. Don't go anywhere. Final segment of the Sports Fix still to come. 216-539-7535. Last chance to call. We'll be right back.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Indians fans, GV Art and Design has unleashed their new baseball collection. This summer, you've got to have one of the hottest baseball shirts available. GVArtwork.com, bringing it full force to the plate for baseball season this year. Whether you check them out online, GVArtwork.com, use the sales code FIX10, FIX10 to save 10% on your total purchase. Whether you go to their store in Lakewood, check them out at the Cleveland Indians team shops, and so much more. GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. The excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials.
And now,
fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens.
let's get it all!
And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger.
They sure are good.
Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious.
Hey there, eat up, y'all. You's as good church-going folk. Y'all deserve a little treat.
What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck, home of the low price tire guarantee. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Back in 1990, when I joined Herb in the booth, you could say that first game was when I became a lifelong Tribe fan. Something about Cleveland made us want to stay and call it our home, raise our family here. I can promise you one thing, home or on the road, I feel what you folks feel, what you feel every game. Cleveland fans are passionate and pretty vocal. I respect that. This is our team. This is our town. This is a Tribe town.
Hey, this is Alonzo G. You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, final segment, wrapping things up across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you guys as we continue to roll on here in the trade deadline. Less than 2 hours away, Major League Baseball trade deadline, and I'm telling you, Asdrubal Cabrera, in my opinion, as good as gone. I mean, unless a bag of balls is being offered for him. I do think that the Indians, they've got several suitors. I think they'll be able to drive up at least something that they can live with and part ways with Asdrubal. I think it's coming. I've seen a lot of things, but I mean, you know, continuing. I mean, I've gotten several texts in the last, just since we've been on the air. Just there's smoke with Rio, so we'll see. I don't mind it. He's still able to hit the ball, even though he's not hitting for power this year, and he's got good power numbers. Like, I looked at him last night after Mike and I talked about Rios yesterday, and I looked at his last few seasons and compared it to just some of the other guys that have been mentioned in the past week or two as conversations. And I'm like, you know, if people are willing to bet on bounce backs a lot of times with these trades, just like trading for Justin Masterson, hoping that there's a different, a change of scenery gives you a push down the run. But looking at Rios, I don't know, man. I mean, he's more believable of a bounce, but then again, I know there's the other issues, but he's still able to hit the ball regardless of the power numbers. That salary for next year was one of the things that made me think it was unlikely for them to take it on. But, you know, I told you Mike and I were talking last night, and I mean, when you think about maneuvering things around the payroll, let's just say let's say you pick up a Rios, but you package Bourne in the offseason and replace him with Frazier, or not Frazier, Frazier's coming too. Trust me, Frazier's coming too, but Ramsey. So, I mean, that very well could be 2/3 of a new kind of reapportioned outfield next year. And think about that. Now, if you've already got intentions, and picking up Ramsey is what told me that they've got intentions sooner rather than later of putting him in center field or giving him the chance to win it, then Michael Bourne becomes expendable. He's already been expendable by his play and his contract, but he's really expendable. If you're able to move that contract out, that's kind of a wash, the Bourne money and the Rios money there. So, maybe it's not as unlikely as possible. If I had my choice, I'd rather they get an arm than a bat, but hey, get something that helps now. And I'm telling you, he helps now. He's hitting 300 on the season. He can still come in and put the bat on the ball. Whether the power numbers come back, I don't know. So, and I said, they're looking for, I know they're looking for catcher. They're looking for prospects there. And Perez, a lot of teams have called. Rangers are one of those teams. So, I don't know. The Giants are in on that. The Indians, there's talks of a 3-team deal. We'll know for sure in the next couple of hours, as Drubel's going somewhere either way. But we'll find out who they bring in, who they send out. A lot of things. Boston not playing around. And I got to tell you, Jeff Gorman just texted me during the last break, too. He's not with and I said this at the beginning of the show. He goes, Oakland, smart to get Lester, but terrible move giving up Cespides. He says he thinks Cespides takes over for Ortiz as Boston's top bat over in the future here, and he could very well be right. Boston has done a good job at the trade deadline here, I think, of setting themselves up for a good shot at success next year. So, I mean, I know people get mad here when you use that phrase in Cleveland, but they're using that phrase in Boston right now. But I think they've done a pretty good job. I'm a little bit, well, they sent some money out, but what they got back for Lester from St. Louis, both of those are major league potential pieces, not organizational depth. Those are pieces that could be a part of what you're doing for sure. And, I mean, clearly that package was better than anything else by far. I'm a little bit surprised that St. Louis went that hard, but they knew that the Indians and a couple of other teams were in there, so they went hard to get their guy. And St. Louis not playing, Oakland not playing here. A lot of things going on. We'll talk about the shifted landscape tomorrow. Jonathan Knight, the sports writer extraordinaire, he'll be with us tomorrow to talk about what the reconstituted Indians look like. Maybe they're not much different, but we'll see what they look like. And baseball in general, we'll kind of reevaluate the landscape of baseball after the trade deadline. Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com, the aforementioned Jeff Gorman, he'll be with us as we look at the Browns heading into the weekend, week 2 of training camp underway, and Family Day coming up, all of that. Looking forward to talking to those guys and you guys and the end of the week, all the news and all that stuff going on. Can't wait. It's going to be an exciting busy next 2 hours here, too. I won't be leaving this chair here once we sign off the air for the next couple of hours, but that's the fun. This is the fun time of what we do here, guys. Trade deadline. I love it. And it's only the first one, because don't forget, at the end of the month, you got another trade deadline to follow into the middle of the night, too. So we'll see what happens with the Indians. And, of course, don't forget, back at it, crucial Game 3, final game of that series coming up with Seattle tonight. That's a team in front of you. You got to continue to chop that. If they get the victory here, not only do you take 2 out of 3, but you get yourself within a half a game of Seattle in that wild card standing. You move yourself up a little bit ahead. McAllister takes the mound, taking on Young for the Seattle Mariners tonight. 7:05 first pitch for the Indians at Progressive Field. A lot going on this weekend. We'll preview tomorrow. I got the itinerary for the Jim Thome ceremony coming up this weekend. You got the Rangers coming to, hey, man, that may make it, it could be that much easier to pull off a trade with the Rangers. They're already coming to town anyway. It's like, hey, you know what? You bring your guys, I'll bring my guys. We'll meet at the ballpark and we'll just switch jerseys. You know, everybody, we'll just have we'll get together in a circle and, well, hey, you work for you and you work for you. You switch jerseys with that guy. Boom, let's go play some ball. So could be very interesting. We could see some familiar faces in some different places come this weekend with that series. And you got Cincinnati coming up as well on the backside of that. A couple of things I wanted to mention on the way out. I saw an article, I'm sure you guys have probably seen it going around, hitting the news. Jonathan Waters, the fired marching band director for Ohio State University. We talked yesterday a little bit about the scandal that cost him his career, but he came out and talked about how he had been working to fix the culture, the term Dan Wismar kept using, the sexualized culture, some of the rituals, some of the different things that they did, the nicknames that they gave the players. And he talked about how he was working to change that from within, and then obviously things got out and it went to where it went, led to him losing his job. But he spoke out there and said, you know, it's being misframed, that of course that he wasn't doing anything about it. But at the end of the day, and I still sit, and I will hold off totally judging this until I read the entire document from the university this weekend. But a lot of that stuff, I said, man, this stuff happens on a college campus all the time, man, but it doesn't make the news. And then once it does, see, that's the other thing too. And we talk about like the locker room environment. Remember we were talking about bullying and different stuff like